Okay, so I've been sitting here and there's this little bug that's flying around, buzzing me. And, I was trying to get it to go away, do all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was reminded of St. Paul. And St. Paul had, and I'm not going to be able to quote it exactly, St. Paul had an expression was said in the Bible that you always keep there it is, right there is the bug. Always keep a burr under your saddle. And, it is the idea that there's always this one thing that is still motivating you. There's one thing. And that doesn't let you get comfortable here in the world of space and time sometimes. So there he is again. He's probably not going to go away. So we're on lesson number 211 of a workbook of A Course in Miracles. It's still a review lesson. And I was thinking this morning, and it's interesting the way these are set up. It's interesting the way these are set up because when I see it now, it becomes more and more in focus for me. So we've been doing these review lessons, and sometimes you understand why one follows the other, and sometimes there doesn't seem to be. They seem to be two or three of the same theme that follow each other, and they all lead to this same spot. And I was thinking or being shown this vision, and as each one of us goes through, we have an idea of a trigger, let's say. We already know what a trigger is, and triggering us in a particular way into, say, a grievance. Now, these lessons, in a sense, work as triggers also, but they're designed to trigger us into an alignment and convergence. Just as easily, our mind can be triggered into grievance. Our mind can be triggered into alignment and convergence, depending on, in a sense, the value system, or I'm not quite sure if I'm going to explain this the right way, how we have structured our own consciousness, how we've structured our own association with ourselves, and the defenses that we use, and what triggers what, is what seems to make us individuals in a world of space and time. Although it works the same for everyone, it seems in the form that the form is always slightly tweaked one way or the other, and while one person is triggered one place, another person is triggered another place. And that's in a sense why sometimes I become, sometimes when I think of these other books that come to my attention, and that are brought to my attention by Course in Miracles students, such as Way of Mastery, or the new one is The Way of Love by Marie Perron, and I read them, and fundamentally they're in alignment with A Course in Miracles, make no mistake about it, but they're structured and worded linguistically in ways to trigger the person in the least offensive way possible, in order for them to see, for me individually, for each of us to see our place where we are out of alignment. By choice, we see, as well as places where we can be triggered into a momentary, immediate alignment with the truth and have this recognition in our mind. And when that happens, you see it as an entirety, okay? In that sense, while the Course seems to be working in a systematic way, the systematic way does not include the experiential immediacy of understanding it in its entirety through a single lesson, as Jesus would say. This feels good. I like this. In a single lesson, as Jesus would say. So you can get it all in a single lesson, because in that sense, it's holographic, because it's total. The answer is always total. It's all-inclusive, outside of which there is nothing else. That's always going to be the experience of a true answer. in a singular reality. And it's always going to be beneficial and experienced as love to the human being, because that's the nature of our makeup and how we've codified things since time began, and the words that we use to begin to convey experiences that cut through certain dynamics or definitions, or let's call it artificial borderline or artificial borderlines, artificial borders, artificial methods of delineation. Okay, so now each one of these lessons, and this is what I was shown just before I came on today's, is I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am the Holy Son of God himself. In silence and in true humility, I seek God's glory, to behold it in the Son whom he created as myself. Now, these lessons are all designed to trigger us, but we're all being triggered back to is a singular reality, in which we're all whole and perfect, outside of which there's nothing, and the instantaneous recognition at every level where the error factor disappears and becomes an altruism. We're all true, we're all brothers, we're all home, we're all equally free. That's what these lessons are designed to bring our minds and hearts into alignment. It doesn't matter whether it's one lesson or it's an accumulation of lessons. It all is it brings a wholeness, as it says, and this is what it means when it talks about the perceptual content of a miracle is wholeness. You experience wholeness, outside of which is nothing. You see the wholeness within yourself. So what you're seeing, as above, so below, you're seeing the wholeness of the kingdom. You're seeing the wholeness within yourself, as within, so without. You're seeing the wholeness within yourself, so you must see within your brother. It's a singular way of seeing, a singular way of knowing, and a singular way of being in this world, but not of this world. And any one of these lessons is liable to trigger the entirety of that experience. Now, hopefully, what doesn't happen, and that's why it says it so many different ways, and it's always go back to the same singular recognition, we begin to reassociate that not with these lessons whatsoever, but within the truth of who we are as God created us. Everything begins to be associated back to our reality, back to the wholeness of who we are in the kingdom. And again, we use these words both symbolically and realistically. Realistically, because in the experiences that people have brought back with them to help everyone here understand what is beyond this world, to help everyone understand the fact that this world is illusion, to help everyone understand the help that's available and the mercy and the love. We use the self-same symbols that we previously used to condemn ourselves in a new way, in order to demonstrate that we saw something that we've always been looking for, but it looks not like anything we thought it was going to be. And any one of these lessons, or in the middle, that fly can trigger my need to recognize I still have a burr under my saddle and require forgiveness. But when everything is associated with love, even these lessons that we're learning, we become a happy learner. We become a happy learner because the joy of the Spirit is what's leading us. It becomes our motivation, rather than being motivated by fear and guilt and continuing to make the same error over and over again and suffering and pain, thinking that need be the situation, because it has seemed to be the situation since we can remember. So here we are at lesson 211. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am the Holy Son of God himself. Now, we want these symbols to be regal. We want them to represent something that you previously rejected in your own mind as possible, as way beyond what you seem to be here in space and time, and in a sense would negate the entirety of this experience of having anything to offer you whatsoever, so you can return to the joy. Now, in that state, it's absolute, it's unconditional, it's not comparative, it's extensive, whole, perfect, it's only love, it's singular. Wholeness is not only its perceptual content, there is only that. That is the kingdom and its extension, and you are that. Any one of these lessons, why would it work? Because I'm not a body, I am free. I am still as God created me. And if we share one mind and one heart, and I assure you we do, and we share that mind with the mind of God and the heart of God, then we all, when we try to bring back into this world that experience of light that is within us, that we've been discussing and we've been alluding to, and possibly having these experiences since we've started these lessons, we use symbols to trigger understanding, or symbols to trigger understanding of the awareness of the fact of what needs to be forgiven, the glory, in a sense, in true humility, in silence and in true humility. I seek God's glory. You don't have to know what true humility is. You just have to, in a sense, you're better off not knowing, but using the same skill. Let me put it this way. The same skill of identity that you've utilized to identify with the ego, the same passion with which you've defended your life in numerous ways in space and time, the same attempt to love and make love work, the same trust that you have when you go to turn on a light switch, okay? You don't have to know what true humility is, but with the same innocence, as your attempt to do everything I just previously said, love, trust, commit, desire wholly. If you put that into not knowing what true humility is, but desiring it, I don't know, but I desire it, and let it all be in there shown. In that silence, except for this little bug, in that silence, and maybe he's here to bring me a message of silence, much like that fly brought a message to Richard Pryor when he was in bed after he had burnt himself. In that silence, and in true humility, that's where you will seek and find God's glory, because you've given up the idea of anything else or any place else, and the desire to seek it anyplace else. Feel that. You've given up the desire to find it or seek it anyplace else. You can't take another step. In that silence and in that true humility, as we breathe and relax, and let that be true. Let that be true. Let us begin to get the effects of that thinking about ourselves. We will behold God's glory in ourselves and in our brother and all that is living and everything living. And you'll know full well what's living, and you'll know full well what's illusion. And in the lack of confusion in that, you can be in the world but not of the world. You can be a passerby. I seek God's glory to behold in it in the Son whom he created as myself. And we share oneself. That's myself. It's okay to say my, to claim it. The way you've been trying to claim everything else. Not in a sense, how should I say this? The same energy, the same trust that you've invested in your ability to claim other things that have not satisfied you is all the willingness that you need to claim this as well. So I am not a body, I am free. For I am still as God created me. I am the Holy Son of God himself. In silence. You know you find silence when you can rest and breathe deeply. And you've placed, because you don't want to leave it. You want it to deepen. You want it to open. You want it to show you all that's there. Because you can feel the reality of that, the wholeness, the totalness, the totality, the oneness, the non-linearity that you've wanted to find but couldn't in your constant need to live within the associations and hierarchy of your own mind. And that is the making of the pain and suffering that you've experienced. And you're not going to do that anymore. But somewhere, one of these lessons triggered an experience, even a glimmer. And that glimmer makes everything in the world pale. And that glimmer is enough because it's something you can't forget because it is total. That's the reason why you can't forget wholeness, because it is total. It's also the reason why this would be a dream of forgetting, because you can't forget what's total, whole, and perfect. That's what you are. It's not a possibility. Only in a dream of something other than that could it be possible. And even in the impossibility of the happening, since it's happening in the mind where the impossibility cannot exist, there must be a bursting of that bubble of separation into the recognition, and even a pinprick that allows the separation to go slowly. Because that's tailor-made for you. Some by fire, some by flood. Others have these enormous bursts. And don't worry about it, because it's a reformulation. You're responsible. You're totally responsible for every decision you've ever made. And there's ways in which miraculously we can do this by light speed rather than by the speed we thought it occurred in, based on the linear nature of space and time. So in silence and in true humility, I seek God's glory to behold it in the Son whom he created as myself. And we share that one self. And that's a self of love, by the way.